Hi there and welcome to the day 11 of my 25 days of Christmas card making tutorial series. Today I'm going to create a card with a matching envelope featuring the two techniques that should definitely be used much more in the card making world. They are hot foiling and wax sealing. Here I have a standard A2 size Kraft card base, and I'm going to use my paper trimmer now and trim it down to 3 by 5 inches. You can of course create one out of one sheet of Kraft cardstock. So here is my new toy. It is Gemini FoilPress, and I also have a Gemini Junior die cutting machine that it is meant to be used with. These foil dies come with the machine, and I'm going to use one of them on this project. I'm also going to use this golden foil that is also included in the machine set. I'm trimming down a piece of foil to the size of the die, and then I'm ready to start the machine. The die I'm using is foil and cut die, so it not only does it foil, but it also cuts out the outline. So now I am preheating the machine, and then I'm going to build up the sandwich. I'm basically following the instruction from the manual. I will not be explaining in detail how to use the foiling machine, but I can just say that it's pretty easy. I basically followed the guidelines from the booklet. I didn't even watch the tutorials. I have basically created a sandwich for cut and foil dies, and I'm sending it through the Gemini machine, and this is what the result looks like. It only takes one pass through the machine. The cooling mat, the tweezers, and all the supplies are also included in the set. So now I'm going to peel off the foil from the die cut, and all I can say is wow. The frame is nicely die cut, it's foiled, and it also has that debossed pattern on it. Now I'm going to trim off the part of the frame, because I'm not going to use the entire frame on the project. I'm going to create a strip out of it at the bottom of my card. So I'm placing the strip at the bottom, and then I'm trimming off the excess. Then I'm going to do more foiling. I'm going to use this Stag head die. It doesn't come with a machine, it's sold separately, but it's also by Gemini and Crafter's Companion. I also find that using a rotary cutter is especially convenient when working with the foil, because this way you can place it on the surface rather than holding it in your hands. It curls up a bit too much that way. The foiling press has half-an-inch grid, and this way I know exactly where my card is going to be positioned, and I can place the strip there. I'm doing it to position the stag exactly in the center of the card. There is a small indentation in that strip, and I'm placing the stag head right above it. So if I need to move the die, I can use the tweezers. And then I'm going to place my foil and the card base on top of the die. But that actually was my mistake, and I decided to leave it in the video to show it to you so you won't make the same one. So when I sent it all through the foiling machine, I had too much of a foil transfer. You'll see that in a moment. And that happened exactly because the material was too thick. It was actually the 2 layers of extra heavy-duty cardstock, and I also set up the temperature way too high. What I'm trying to say is experimenting is great, but instructions are there for a reason. You can actually use an eraser if you have some extra foiling, but in this case it's just too much eraser work. So what I have decided to do is to create the panel. It's the same size as my card, but it's just one layer of cardstock. And I'm going to repeat the foiling. So I'm building up the foiling sandwich one more time, and then I'm going to send it all through the die cutting machine. And as always, the tools and supplies I'm using are going to be listed down below in the description box, as well as on my blog. And this time, when I followed the guidelines, I got the perfect foiling. Before I start putting the card together, I decided to die cut one more frame out of Kraft cardstock just to create more dimension. So I'm basically building up a die cutting sandwich and sending it through the die cutting machine. And yes, this foil and cut die can work as a regular die. And I just love the embossed pattern that this die has created, and I didn't even emboss it, and I didn't use any additional shims. I'm really impressed with this machine. Now I'm going to use a piece of plaid patterned paper, and I'm using the same die to kind of frame the portion of the pattern that I like. And again, I'm sending it through the machine. I am actually only planning to use the inside of that frame. Now I am going to stick down the foiled frame on top of that Kraft one. And this is another new product that I'm trying out. This is the Nuvo glue pen. It works just as marker, only that it spreads glue instead of the ink. And it has a really broad tip, by the way. So now I'm going to cut out that strip again, and I'm going to stick it down at the very bottom of the card panel. This time I'm using my Ranger Multimedia Matte Glue. I'm also going to use the remaining frame. I'm applying the adhesive at the corner of the frame, and I'm sticking it down at the top of my card so that the corner is right above the stag's head. Then I'm also going to attach a piece of plaid patterned paper that I've die cut. When the glue is dry, I'm going to flip over that panel and trim off everything that hangs off the edge of the panel. And now it's time to move to the next technique that I was so excited about, and that is the wax sealing. The wax stamp I'm using is by Manuscript. It's a small one. It's 3/4 of an inch in diameter, and it has interchangeable kind of coins, so you can change the pattern to a heart or to that envelope. Before I start wax sealing, I'm going to attach that piece of string, and I'm actually going to stick it down so it's not going to slide. Everything you need to get started with the wax sealing is a waxing stamp and some sealing wax. This wax candle here comes with the stamp, so this little set has everything to get you started. I'm going to do some testing on a scrap piece of cardstock before putting the stamp to my card. So I have melted some sealing wax, and then I'm simply pressing it down with the stamp, leaving it for a few seconds, and then I can lift it up. So now I'm repeating the same process on my card. I'm creating a small puddle about the size of my stamp, and then I'm going to press the wax down with that stamp. I simply love wax sealing, I have to say. It adds so much character to your project, and it's very inexpensive as well. Then I'm trimming off the ends of the twine, and then I'm also going to apply some metallic rub-on paste right onto the wax stamp, and it's going to color the raised pattern. So now I'm going to stick down that entire panel onto the card base. I'm also going to create a matching envelope for my card using the envelope punch board by Wea Memory Keepers. I'm using the settings for 3x5 cards. Besides the envelope's functional side, it's also a great way to add more pattern that I had on my card, and it's also one more chance to use the wax seal. I'm punching and scoring the envelope following the guidelines on the board, and then I'm folding down all 4 flaps. The card is going to fit perfectly inside. I'm going to create the wax seal on an envelope before closing it up. So I have placed the envelope onto the non-stick mat. I have attached the twine to the edge of the envelope, and now I'm melting the wax. You can of course create the wax seal after closing the envelope, but this way it will have to be broken. There is nothing wrong about it. The wax seals are meant to be broken, but I know some people don't like to do it. So I'm creating the one that you can open and close several times. This is what the seal looks like. It actually hangs off the edge a little bit. Now I'm attaching a glue dot at the wrong side of the envelope, and this way I can close it up, and then I can open and close it repeatedly. I'm also going to apply some more metallic rub-on paint. That's a great way to add more gold. And here is my envelope finished. I really hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about the techniques or about the products that I used, please don't hesitate to ask them in the comments below. And I hope to see you again soon for the project number 12. Have a beautiful day.